What is something you know because of your profession? Which you believe everyone should know to make their lives better, easier, or healthier? Be interested, not interesting. I used to work in film and picked up a lot of acting tips used by industry professionals. One of the biggest lessons you learn in acting is when you're in a scene. Don't try to show up the other person or look cool or say your lines in the most epic way possible. Instead, you truly listen to the other actor's lines. You notice details about them. You just immerse yourself in the moment and genuinely take it all in and understand it. And just by doing that and feeling the emotions of the scene and responding naturally, accordingly, boom, you've won an Oscar for the most realistic performance. Because it is real. But that's also a really good way to live life. Really. Truly listen to people when they speak. Try to understand them. Notice beautiful little details. Remember what they love and what they hate and what makes them happy. Be invested in the moment. Don't just live your life trying to act cool. I'm a civil engineer and I think everyone should know that yellow light time is dictated by the speed limit. For example, if the speed limit is 40 miles per hour, you have 4 seconds of yellow light time. You have 1 second of yellow light time for every 10 miles per hour. If the speed limit is 35 miles per hour, you have 3.5 seconds. I work in it and I can honestly say that by rebooting your device you will fix most of the software related faults that happen. If that doesn't work, then googling the symptoms will more than likely give you a fix or avenue for a fix pretty quickly. I was going to comment about googling, but I'm just gonna add to your comment. I know people joke that my degree is a bachelor's in googling, but I am constantly amazed at how some people just don't have the ability to search for what they need. I've had to explain to my parents. If you're getting an error, type that in. Add the name of whatever you are using. Even if it's just the brand name. Think of as many one-word descriptions as you can. And they still don't get it. Yet. When I find solutions after simply googling error message blah for HP whatever or Chinese restaurant downtown wherever in Carter Street, I look like a genius. I joke to myself that people's inability to search for things on the internet allows folks to keep their jobs. But knowing how to figure out how to do something by searching online is amazing. 99% of product manuals are online. It's great. Hell, I discovered my 68-year-old grandmother knew how to Google better than most other adults I knew, and I'm very proud of her. If you pay attention to your kids, they'll do better. The messed up you're doing, it is affecting them even if you don't realize it. Their teacher knows this. I listen intently to every story my stepkid tells me and ask questions. I make sure he knows I am interested. For the love of God, his video game stories are torture to me, but they are important to him now and I want him to always want to share the important stuff with me. Americans, if you need help navigating a complicated government problem, call your representative at the local, state, or federal level. There are staff members standing by whose purpose is to perform constituent services. Many people think that their elected officials just sit up in the Capitol and don't realize they have Capitol and district staff whose whole purpose is to help people navigate through government problems. When I turned 18, I received a letter from the Social Security Administration that told me I owed $52,000 to Social Security because they had determined that my father was not disabled for the last 2 years of his life and they had overpaid him. He spent the last 2 years of his life in the hospital and about 6 months in a coma, and he was apparently not disabled. I spent months trying to solve the problem on my own and was simply jerked around and treated like a criminal by Social Security. Finally, I got the idea to call my congressman and ask for help. Within a few weeks, I ended up getting an apology letter from the Social Security Administration saying they were wrong and I shouldn't have to pay for their mistake. That letter is in my baby book now. I work at an interstate mountain tunnel in VA. Please, for the love of God, don't stop to take pictures. Yes, it is cool, but stopping like that has caused more accidents than anyone would believe. Don't play games with microtransactions. They are designed with the assistance of physiologists and psychologists to be as addicting as possible. Quality of gameplay is secondary to that. The new trend in game design internally in some companies has been coined dopamine-driven development, in that The entire point of the user experience is to trigger the most micro releases of dopamine to physically addict you to our game or app. I'm about ready to move off the grid. The world is messed up. I work in local news. Let me tell you. Local reporters are hungry for stories. They have quotas to fill and are constantly needing new content. So, if you have a problem, contact your local stations. Anything from a negligent landlord, needing a kidney, crooked contractor, or even an unsolved murder will be expedited because people hate getting negative press. And even if they can't solve your problem, people will usually come out of the woodwork to help if their heartstrings get tugged enough. That might sound cynical, but I've genuinely seen people's lives changed for the better because our news did a puff piece on them. I used to have a friend who started a really cool non-profit organization, and I was always stunned by how easy it was for him to get local TV news to cover something he was involved in. I figured he had good connections, but now I'm just thinking he just made random calls and had a good pitch every time. I work in anatomical transplantation. Lungs of marijuana smokers and lungs of cigarette smokers look exactly the same. People who deny the fact that smoking weed isn't as detrimental to your lungs as smoking cigarettes are kidding themselves. If you ingest smoke, your lungs are going to suffer long-term damage. Plain and simple. Get a third party to do inspections on homes or rentals before you move instead of who the retail agent or landlord will provide. That third party inspector will be more honest about things that are faulty in the home rather than one that's contracted with the agency. Also, pay attention to services your town will provide and what community projects they are personally engaged in funding. This will affect your property taxes if you buy a home. I work in theatrical lighting. It's pricier, but gaff tape is far superior to duct tape. Tears better, sticks better, looks better, doesn't leave that nasty residue when you peel it off something. You can write on it in Sharpie. So it's great for labeling. We use it to label lights, secure cables, basically anything you might need tape for. If you're running cable across the ground, use gaff tape to keep it in place. It's not waterproof, but other than that it's the perfect tape. I love it. Be a strong advocate for your health. Don't be afraid to talk with your doctor when you notice something that feels wrong to you. And don't be afraid to keep bugging people if you feel you aren't being heard. The medical field is full of people and people make mistakes. Also for women, especially those over 40, never skip a year for breast cancer screening, and if you have new symptoms, have it done again. Early detection really is a lifesaver. A $70 ozone machine will permanently get rid of most smells in your home with just an hour of use. Pet, smoke, mold and other smells will be completely removed. However, ozone is toxic to living things, so it cannot be used with people or pets present. Ozone does however have a relatively short half-life, and return of normal use to the room can begin as soon as an hour after the machine has turned off. Hotels often use ozone machines to remove smoke smells when someone smokes in a room. They often have large industrial size machines that only need to run for 15 minutes or so. The room will be fresh smelling and ready for the next guest with less than an hour turnaround time. I work in the radio industry. Well, study to work in radio. You know those request shows? Yeah, those aren't real. They pick 1-2 requests per hour and then just fill the rest in themselves. Those results at the top are ads. And the results below the ads are still actively manipulated by people with money. Google has seriously gone downhill these days. I used to be able to type in a few keywords and find anything I wanted, and now it's just full of retailers and nonsense in the top results. I guess that's just how they monetize these types of businesses. What is under your house counts. Before buying a home, talk to the city about the sewers and water drainage. Very old systems are sometimes still in use. And if the sewers haven't been upgraded in 100 years, you could have a very unpleasant surprise just down the road. I'm not a teacher anymore, but I learned a lot from it. I wish every parent knew that as your child grows up, you need to be their parent, not their friend. They need to experience failures and consequences. They need to be held accountable by you for their actions. You can be friends with them when they're grown. Well-adjusted, responsible adults. Just exercise, people. There is not a single medicine, cool clothing item, quick fix, whatever, that will give you a healthier and better life than exercise, except for circumstances where you need a medicine to live. Even 20 minutes of walking a day can have profound effects on your health. It's not hard. Just exercise. I'd argue that sleep is on the same level of importance. Sleeping enough and in a regular manner will do wonders for your health in terms of reduced stress and better mental health. People are usually nice to you if you are nice to them. If they're rude, I'm extra nice, smiling and polite, it really makes them crazy annoyed. Seeing them boil really makes me happy. But also if random person is rude to me, I don't take it personally. The person doesn't know me and probably has had a bad day, weak life, and is only taking it on me. But also sometimes when I'm smiling, nice and polite, it makes the other person start smiling and have a better mood. That makes me happy too. One of my biggest life revelations was realizing that almost everyone who's an a-hole is either having a bad day or hates their life. Life insurance applications are starting to use accelerated underwriting, which means they obtain new credit history, pharmacy records, education level, and other personal information to see if you qualify for the life insurance. Life insurance companies are starting to also use the network which link the findings, so if you get denied by one company and try to get insurance with another, the second company can obtain certain assessment results from the first company. I work in health. Vaccinate yourself and children. Body positivity movement and thin privilege is ruining my back because myself and my workmates need to manually move you around on a stretcher. Eat healthy. Go to the gym. You'll live longer. Feel better. I work in auto body collision repair. I am here to tell you that the size of a vehicle is only one piece of the puzzle in determining safety. Obviously if you get hit by a semi you are screwed no matter what sized vehicle you are in. But I have seen a Honda Civic hatchback get creamed by a Suburban. Honda was stopped at a stop sign. Suburban rear-ended them going 60 miles per hour. The people in the hatchback walked out basically unharmed. This is only one example off the top of my head. Vehicles built after around 2006-08 started implementing advanced materials be used for points of impact rails body pillars. These advanced materials, think high-grade hardened steel, are extremely durable, do what they are supposed to do in terms of protecting the passengers from immediate harm. Also a misconception about larger vehicles being safer is people think big equals safe. But these larger vehicles are slower, less agile, have a longer stopping distance. If you are an attentive driver you can more easily evade bad situations in a smaller, more agile vehicle. That is, if you have a decent reaction time, don't drive distracted. Short stopping distance has been a lifesaver for me a few times in my lightweight, compact car. I have avoided multiple potential collisions with wildlife, dogs, surprise road blockages, unruly drivers. Don't forget that the taller a vehicle is, the more likely it is to tip over. I just want to let you know you have options if you need a larger vehicle for space. I totally understand. But larger vehicles are not safer as a rule of thumb.